Right, it's now 8 o'clock in the morning, or it's 8:01 actually. This is the second take, because dumbass I didn't press the record button the first time I said all this stuff. We just had a big breakfast at Denny's, pancakes, etc. And we're now walking down to the train station to go to the convention centre to begin the search for Oliver Stone. I know he's there. He doesn't know I'm there, which I'm sure he's not really that bothered. I'm sure he's eating pancakes somewhere as well. Been a fan of his work since I was a kid. Watched most of the films that he first wrote: Scarface, Conan, Midnight Express, and I've seen all his directorial and producing stuff as well. I've got a signed picture from him that he sent me 15, 20 years ago. So it's about 10 years ago when Alexander was coming out, and he sent me a nice picture back saying good luck and work hard. Well, I've had lots of luck and I'm working hard, and if I do get a question, I'm going to thank him for sending me that photo, which I'm sure he will remember out of his long and illustrious career. I'm sure one of the highlights is sending me a signed picture of himself. I'm okay with that. We're going to join the queue for Hall H, which is probably the only time we'll get into Hall H, because it's going to be crazy until Comic-Con ends. We'll either get in or we won't. I shall keep you updated.
Kind of like how you stepped on my shoes on the back.
Bring in the Mojave Desert for the kids.
Don't think I forgot.
They bring it. I said sorry already.
Yo, if people, yeah, I saw it. You're only like they say
And of course, tuna. Hello.
And the first time, like, but season 5, we were all about 15 seconds. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Oh my god,
Into Hall H. Yay. Going.
Oh, it's so cool in here, isn't it?
We did it, honey.
Who was sitting?
As far to the front as possible.
So the people were in that, like,
I think we just follow this mob, I think, and they'll just fill up. Go.
Good morning, everyone, and welcome to Comic-Con. Please continue down the aisleway to find a seat.
Yeah. So impressed.
we just follow.
Yeah.
Sit wherever.
Yeah. Morning.
If they come out, we just follow.
Yeah.
Where would you like to sit?
We just keep going till they're feeding us in.
Yeah, you also want to talk to the convention staff. They have special agents.
Well, ideally, you need to be like,
Here? Where would you like to
yeah,
sit?
go for it. Just go here.
Yeah?
Yeah. Well, yeah, go for it. Yep. Just try and find like seats together that are near the front. But we won't get too cocky because, yeah, go over in this block somewhere.
Yeah?
Yes.
Well, you've got even further over there, but maybe not push it. What do you think? You stay here.
If you are leaving Hall H after this event, please leave via the doors to the left of the seating area. You do not have to scan out with your badge. Good morning, everybody. My name is Dave Carger. It's my absolute pleasure to be here for the 6th time in Hall H. And let me tell you, over the last 5 years, I've done some cool things with you all. I've interviewed the whole cast of Catching Fire with you. I've played Getting to Know You games with Charlize Theron and Kristen Stewart, and I've led you all in singing Happy Birthday to Daniel Radcliffe. But I've never been able to introduce for the first time an Academy Award-winning filmmaker at his debut appearance at San Diego Comic-Con. So welcome. Oliver, when you envision this moment, walking out here on the stage, and then when you think about what just happened, did they line up your expectations and the reality?
Yes. No, it's nice. It's nice to see a memory, history. I'm a fan of history.
Good. Well, speaking of being a fan of history, we're here to talk about your new film, Snowden. And listen, you're known as being someone who likes to tackle politics in your films and to tackle conspiracies in your films. Do you feel like the story that you tell in Snowden, given it talks about the fact that the government may have been surveilling all of us, this isn't about one person being assassinated or one person being elected, do you feel like this is the ultimate conspiracy story for you to take on?
I hope not, but if there's larger ones, I think we're going to have to go back into it. But right now, this is Snowden is a larger-than-life story of what's happening right now under our noses and continuing to happen. And it affects the majority of you, this audience, into this next generation.
Biggest man at 2016 San Diego Comic-Con, Zachary Quinto. Shailene Woodley. And Joseph Gordon-Levitt. Joe, this way. Come closer. Hi, everybody.
Hello.
Joe, let's explain the choice of t-shirt today.
Sure. Well, a word that gets brought up in these conversations a lot is the word patriot. And I think actually I'm sitting next to one of the most patriotic filmmakers in the history of American cinema. And that's a lot to do with what this story is about, because being a patriot in the United States, to me, is not just about unquestioningly saying that everything is good. If you love something and you see something wrong about it, you raise your hand and you talk about it and you try to fix it. And that's what I think his movies have done for decades. And I was really proud to be invited into one of his films.
Joe, I've seen the movie and it's so impressive. And it sounds trivial and small, but I think the voice of Ed Snowden, the actual voice, is such an important thing because we've heard it, all of us, so many times in interviews. How did you get to a point where you felt like you had nailed it?
Thanks. I ripped a bunch of audio off of Citizen 4, the documentary you mentioned earlier, as well as lots of interviews and stuff, and just put it in headphones and on repeat. But I remember the day early on when we recorded first some temporary voiceover, and there's a certain threshold sometimes you cross. You're like kind of working on a voice, but I didn't want to try to do it in rehearsals because you don't want to do it halfway. And the first time I think you really heard me try to do it all the way, we were recording this temporary voiceover, and he can be very subtle. He was like, "Oh, you sound like him." And I was like, "That's a big compliment from Oliver." Yeah.
What's the trick to doing the Ed Snowden voice?
Oh man.
Teach us.
I don't know. Yeah, it's just listening to it over and over again sometimes. Me personally, I don't try to analyze it too much because then you're thinking about it, and you don't want to be thinking about that when you're acting. So that's why it's just a lot of repetition, and hopefully it kind of just seeps in by osmosis, and you don't have to think about it.
Shailene, you have become very politically active in the last couple of years. What came first? Your interest in politics as they are today? This film? Did one kind of lead to the other?
I wouldn't say one necessarily led to the other. I actually have never been very politically active before this election. But this movie, I found out that they were making it, and I wanted to, first and foremost, just thank Oliver for making this movie. I remember, it's so important and it's so relevant, and being someone I was in my early 20s when Ed released all of this information and he did what he did, it had a profound impact on my life. First, I want to be brave in his intent to educate people, regardless of whether you agree with it or not, to release information that he felt was going to empower people to know what was going on behind the scenes. It's something that you kind of always suspected. You're always joking around, like, I wonder if they're watching us. And then to have it sort of confirmed like that, it really opened my eyes to policy in a way that I'd never thought about before.
Zach, I'll never forget the first time, as the story was breaking, the first time I saw Glenn Greenwald, who you play, on TV doing an interview. And I was just very impressed with how brilliant he is, but also I thought to myself, this guy is tough. Yeah. He's not going to smile through an interview or really any situation if he doesn't feel like he wants to. What was that like to play? Because in many scenes, this guy is a hard ass.
Yeah, he's so relentlessly committed to adversarial journalism in such a pure way. It's really impressive, and he's so intelligent, like you say, that he backs up every position that he adopts with such clarity and such unimpeachable knowledge. So I feel like it encouraged me to raise my own bar of awareness of this world. I was so grateful to be able to be brought into it because I agree with everything everybody said, how important it is. He's a pretty remarkable guy. And luckily, there's no shortage of videos and interviews and debates, and he puts himself out there for what he believes in. I have a lot of respect for that.
Oliver, you joked a couple minutes ago that you didn't think the reason that you couldn't get money for this was because of the NSA, but the fact is you did decide to shoot this film not in the United States, you shot it internationally. What was the reasoning behind that? Were you at all afraid that there would be some people looking at you, checking in on what you were doing?
I just don't want to have confusion arise in case they did not interfere with us. And I have no knowledge or suspicion that they did. The problem is, in this world, how can you tell who's listening? I do very much feel the 1984 Big Brother vibe. I feel that in general in this society. And I don't think any one of us can be innocent about that. So we all kind of curb our behavior to some degree. We don't go to our favorite internet porno sites and so forth and so on. Or some people may not even go to their favorite investigative journalism sites, which is very serious. Unfortunately, it changed some tenor of the whole thing, but I don't know, and neither do you. The problem is that Moritz Bormann, our producer, wanted to go to Germany, East Germany, and he knew we had subsidies waiting for us there in a friendly climate. Look what they've been through since World War II. The Stasi in World War II, the communists after World War II, and the Gestapo before.
You didn't feel with this movie?
Excuse me, the Coca-Cola bombing?
Yeah, there was you met with Manuel Noriega, and there was perhaps that wasn't the title eventually, but there was something in Central America, mid-'80s.
Yeah, well, there was a lot of dirt, but I don't remember Coca-Cola, but that might be involved. But yes, I knew Manuel Noriega, got to know him. Fascinating story, wanted to tell it. Very complicated. That's one of those stories that is so complicated. Sometimes it's better not to make it.
Okay.
He's still alive, and he's still looking for his sense of justice. And I think he's got an interesting case, very interesting case.
Okay, I guess a brief follow-up pertaining to Snowden. He pretty much just put out information regarding Project Echelon with newer stuff, with the smartphone technologies. Anything on that you care to elaborate on? Because that's been out there for a number of years.
I've heard the name, but Ed puts out a lot of good stuff. I can't keep up with all of it. It's in Intercept, Glenn's newspaper. You can follow it there or his tweets. But Echelon, I've heard it, but I can't give you detail. Must be a horror show, though. Sounds like it.
Hello.
Hello. Or Mr. Oliver Stone. Hello, everyone. And the question is, you've been working with film throughout your career, and this film was shot on digital. Did you need help learning the transition from film to digital, and how were you assisted in learning?
No, it's true. It was a completely new technique. But all the cameramen I've been working with have done both, and I had shot some commercials as well as several documentaries on digital. But film, I'd always loved the quality of film, but with the new development on the Alexas that I saw, and we shot in 65, some of this movie, 65 millimeter, and we were pretty free-ranging. I saw a new quality on digital. It's not quite the same as film, but it's good enough. It's good enough, and it makes them. There are a lot of things that are easier about it at the same time. Don't kid yourself, you're not going to save that much money, because it does cost money. For film. Hello. You have to build sets and costumes and backgrounds. You got to do the whole number. You have to hire a crew that's basically a union-sized crew, and it needs it.
Hi. That's right. Hey there. My question's for Oliver Stone. I was just wondering, you've made a couple controversial films now. I was just wondering what draws you to that, what attracts you to those projects?
Believe me, I really didn't want to do this at the beginning. I thought very long and hard. And it took three meetings in Moscow with Ed to feel that I could do it. I had been too much. You get beat up when it's current, you get killed, lawsuits. Often what happens is even the protagonist
be cultivated in our own awareness in order to try to steer it in some undamaging way moving forward. It's a good question.
Well, this movie comes out on September 16th, and I encourage you all to see it because it's going to make you think. And I thank all four of you for making us think today. So Oliver Stone, Joseph Gordon-Levitt, Shane Lee, and Zachary Quinto. Thanks, everybody.